Hey, look, there's a lot of talk out there about Roth conversions, and even you may have been doing some research, reading articles, watching YouTube videos, trying to understand all you can about Roth conversions, only to find out it has caused Roth confusion. So in this video, I will be breaking it down in simple terms. We're going to answer the questions of what is a Roth conversion, why you would want to do a Roth conversion, when to do a Roth conversion, and how much you should convert. Look, this could save you thousands, if not hundreds of thousands in future taxes. All right, let's dive right in. So what exactly is a Roth conversion? Quite simply, it's when you have an IRA or 401k and you move or transfer that money out of that account into a Roth IRA account. Okay, simple. You're just going from one bucket to another. Now, when you do move that money though, or convert to a Roth IRA, you will pay income taxes on the amount you convert. Very important to consider. But why would you want to do that? Pay those taxes to get it into the Roth. Well, it's about taxes. So let's give you an example. Let's say you have $200,000 in an IRA or 401k, and in 25 years, hey, it could grow to $1.5 million, say when you retire. Then you start withdrawing money from that to live on. I don't know, maybe $75,000 a year. What's going to happen, all of that is taxable to you. And each and every year you make those distributions, again, all taxed to you. So eventually, if you think about it, taxes will be paid on that $1.5 million, not to mention the potential growth. Versus, if you converted that IRA, you would pay tax on the $200,000 today, and if it did grow to $1.5 million by the time you retire, then you make your withdrawals, guess what? Zero would be your tax bill. It's the whole seed and harvest analogy. You're paying taxes on a smaller amount today versus the possibility of paying a lot more tax on the harvest later. Now, we'll get into how much makes sense to convert later, but let's talk about when you should do these Roth conversions. I mean, does it matter when you do? Well, yes. Now, before we get into that, if you are getting some value out of this video, let me know by giving this video a thumbs up, and I would really appreciate you subscribing to the channel as well. Okay, so here are some things to consider when to convert to a Roth. Usually it makes sense to do a Roth conversion when the market is down. Since your IRA or 401k may have, temporarily declined in value, converting those IRA assets to a Roth IRA means you're paying taxes on a lower balance. This could reduce your overall tax liability on the conversion. Now, once in a Roth IRA, your investments can potentially recover and grow tax-free, and qualified withdrawals in retirement will also be tax-free. This can be especially beneficial if you expect taxes to be higher in the future. Another time it would make sense to convert is if you've been laid off, have reduced income for the year, or expect a significant promotion next year. Your tax bracket may be temporarily lower. So converting in a low income year allows you to pay less in taxes on the conversion than you might in future years when your income is higher. Now the question is, how much do you convert? Do you do the whole thing? Do you do part? You don't have to convert the whole thing, but how much do you convert? And this is where it gets a little tricky. You have to pay attention to your tax bracket, and that bracket is changed each year to account for inflation. Now, you can get that tax bracket by going to irs.gov or simply through a Google search. Think of tax brackets as elevator floors. Moving up one floor isn't a big deal, but jumping up several floors at once, hey, that could be costly. Now, for those people that are on a set salary, it would be somewhat easy to determine how much to convert without putting them in a higher tax bracket. But what if your income fluctuates throughout the year? Maybe you get commissions or bonuses that vary. Well, I would advise you to talk with your tax person towards the end of the year, say in October. Ask them what amount makes sense to convert without pushing you into a higher tax bracket. Also, what if you are a high income earner, say in the 32% or higher tax bracket? If you think your income retirement will be way lower than it is now, you may want to reconsider this. Reconsider a Roth conversion altogether. I mean, why pay 32 or a 35% or higher tax now on a conversion when you think your tax rate in retirement will be lower? One idea is maybe wait till you retire when your income is lower and do some conversions in retirement. Okay, so we talked about what a Roth conversion is, why you may want to do a Roth conversion, when to do a Roth conversion, and how much you should consider to convert. But there are some other things to consider here. First of all, there are no income limits on Roth conversions, unlike a Roth contribution. So anybody can do a Roth conversion no matter their income. Second, there is no 10% penalty when you convert, but you will pay taxes on the amount you convert, like we talked about earlier. So how are you going to pay those taxes? Well, you could have the taxes withheld when you do the conversion, but I don't think that would be a good idea. Why? Because of two things. If you are under 59.5, then the tax withheld would be considered a distribution, and therefore the IRS would impose a 10% penalty. So you don't want that 10% penalty being imposed on that tax. Also, by withholding tax on the conversion, that means less is going into the Roth, potentially growing tax-free. I would consider having those taxes paid from elsewhere, maybe your savings or your brokerage account. And another thing to consider is the 5-year rule. You see, with each conversion you make, it carries its own 5-year rule. It's not like a Roth contribution. Those are different. Every conversion you make has its own 5-year rule, meaning you would have to hold that converted amount for 5 years or until age 59.5, whichever is later, in order to cash out the growth portion without paying taxes and a 10% penalty. Now, if you're over age 59.5, there is no penalty. Also, the longer you can let that Roth IRA grow, the more you benefit from tax-free growth. I mean, if you're going to convert, then you turn right around and start withdrawing money from it in the next few years, you're kind of defeating the purpose of doing a Roth conversion. Another thing to consider is if you're doing a large conversion when you are on Medicare, or a couple of years before you go on Medicare, then you could be paying a higher Medicare Part B premium depending on how much you convert. So be aware of that. So Roth conversions, they're not that complicated, but as you can see, it takes a lot of planning. And that's why I always suggest that you get with your financial advisor or tax professional before implementing a Roth conversion. And if we need to talk, check out the resources below. We'll see you next time. If you like what you're seeing so far, check out this next video. Subscribe to the channel. Lord willing, we'll see you next time.